Hello and welcome to the April edition of Community Connect, brought to you by the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce. And this month I have Tom Boland, who's the CEO of the YMCA in town, or in Marshall, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So obviously, we had President Kumara Jayasuriya as my guest in March, and who would have ever known what last month's edition compared to this month's edition of Community Connect would have brought us. I would have never guessed we were going to be in this really strange situation.
It's crazy times.
It is, and I hope that it never comes to this again. But nobody does. So I appreciate everybody tuning in today. So this normally is a pretty event-driven broadcast. I'd like to talk about some of the community events. And we still have some community events, and in fact, we got some really good events in March that we can recap. And that would start with the State of the City address. And the State of the City address was a really solid program again this year, and I was excited to host as the main sponsor of the State of the City. Mayor Bob Burns and City Administrator Sharon Hansen gave a really good update on things that happened in 2019 and kind of what to expect in 2020. And I certainly still hope those things can still happen. And of course, but the main topic that people are really excited about was the new City of Marshall branding effort that Chairman Glenn Bader, who works for Relco, talked about. And Tom, I know you were at the State of the City address. What did you think about the whole program?
I love the format. It's one of my most favorite events of the year. It's always interesting to see what's going on. You kind of get centralized to your organization and what's going on. It's really great to hear what's going on in the community. And then Glenn's presentation was just fabulous. And I got excited, went right back to the Y and sent an email to staff with what that was. And we actually created a contest. We sent it out to all our 100 or so staff, 110 staff, and said, what should be the Y's tagline in there with cultivating what? And so then everything kind of broke down here the last couple of weeks, but we've got a whole bunch of submissions from staff, and we're going to pick a winner of what the Y wants to go with within the city. So.
Definitely, and thank you to all the efforts. Glenn Bader had a really good team of good marketing minds on his team to come up with this the new brand for the City of Marshall, and it's exciting. Cultivate. During this time, we need to cultivate kindness. We need to cultivate temporary change, and we need to cultivate a whole lot of. I could go on and on all the things that we need to cultivate during this time. Cultivate spacing. That's obviously a word that. I've never used so much ever, but in the last 4 weeks, it's been a constant term we've been hearing. So yeah, State of the City address was on March 4th. We had nearly 160 people. We had about 130 people last year, so an extra 30 people came to that event on March 4th. Also, one of the bigger events that we happened in March. It wasn't in Marshall, but I do want to celebrate the Marshall Tigers basketball boys team. I got asked to go, I think, the day before, and I am so happy I did. They went out on a high note, and that's what the Marshall community needs to remember, is that the Marshall Tigers basketball boys team went out on a high note. It was one of the most exciting atmospheres I've been to a long time. That was one of my last social events that I've been to as well. Mankato East, hats off to their fan section. They were a rock star fan section, but we know that the Marshall Tiger fan section is one of the best in the state. And so it was nice to be a part of it. It was in St. Peter. It was a back and forth game. But hats off to Coach Carroll and to the boys basketball team on a really good season there. And to the girls team. I know they didn't end on a great note, but wow, they were undefeated for most of the season. So good job, Tigers, winter sports, as well as the wrestling team and so on. Do you ever go to any of those Tiger games?
I don't, kids are both in college now, so I don't get to high school events as much as I used to, but I love going.
Yep, absolutely. It's a good atmosphere. And like I said, I went to a couple of volleyball games back in the fall, and they have a real fun fan section. And of course, the last kind of bigger social event, it relates to the Y, was the Shamrock Shuffle. This year we had 166 runners. I was one of them. I don't even like running, but I continued to run. In fact, I was sore for 4 days afterwards. But it was a good sore, like they would say, right? And so this was an event that we had a lot of question about. Do we run with it? No pun intended. Do we go with it? Or do we cancel it? But I think there was enough confidence that we were able to get away with it.
Yeah, that was just a couple days before the Y was shut down by the governor, so that was a big decision. And that Saturday morning, I think by Sunday afternoon, the Y leadership was meeting and talking about what we're going to do, in the coming weeks. So I'm glad we got it in, and it really is a fun event, and it's amazing how social those events are. People come out, and some come out because they're really competitive runners. A lot of them come out just for the fun and social side.
Yeah. And one of my goals as a runner that day was to not walk, but I didn't realize that the bridge was going to be part of this whole run. So I got all the way to the top of the new Marshall Bridge over the highway, and then I finally had to take a breather. I walked about 10 steps, came back down, and ran the rest of the time. That's pretty good for a non-runner. I usually do elliptical. I don't run. So
yeah, I'm always the follow-up vehicle, so I'm following the last people in the race, so I have a pretty easy position.
Right. Well, that was fun. It was a really nice morning to run. And I only run, like I said, I only run 3 or 4 times a year, which is 3 or 4 times too much. But all right, so let's talk about YMCA stuff. So Tom, you've been in town now since 2012. Prior to that, you were with the YMCA for Kandiyohi County area, which is in the Wilmer area, and you were there for 10 years, 2002 through 2012. Like you said, you have a couple girls. You're originally from Tracy. I know you have deep roots there. I believe your dad was a longtime basketball coach. You know this area pretty well, but getting to know you over the last few years, sitting on your board, you know a lot about the Y history. So can you share some of the history on how our local Y fits into the larger Y movement?
Yeah, I love history. Dad was a history teacher in Tracy schools for 40 years, and so I grew up with that gene. And so and the Y's got a lot of history. Just celebrated 175 years this summer, or last summer of 2019. So people met in London, England, where it was founded, and 175 years is just incredible. And so during that time, that's before Abe Lincoln and the Civil War, and so the Y was involved in the Civil War as chaplains and nurses. All the wars, really. They ran cookie factories during World War I. During World War II, the Y helped with the internment camps and prisoner of war camps, and actually the Secretary General of the Y, the USA, the leader of the whole Y, won the Nobel Peace Prize after World War II, which very few know about. And the Y's invented 3 sports: basketball, volleyball, and racquetball. It's English as a second language. I used to do quite a bit of that on the side, and that was actually 1860s that English as a second language came to the U.S. through the Y to teaching German immigrants at that point. So there's just a long, long history going back to 1844 in London. And it's changed a lot through the years. It was the largest hotel chain at one point, had the most rooms. It's still the largest employer of teenagers in the nation. Yep. It's the largest provider of child care, largest provider of swim lessons. There's just a huge amount of history there. And actually, the History Channel did 25 years ago now. History Channel did 125th anniversary or 150th anniversary of the Y special. People can actually find on YouTube. But it's changed a lot. And then our Y's 17 years already, and I get probably every couple of weeks somebody will say, what's the Y? 10 years now, and 17, and I've been here for 7 of that already, and it's changed a lot in 17 years. But how the Y ties in is there's a parent organization, Y the USA, based in Chicago, and we're a federated organization, a little different than most people think, and so. In the Y, all the small Ys, the Ys around the country, kind of run the Y the USA, and we give a little bit of our money to them, and they provide services. So they don't dictate from the top down. It's kind of we dictate up, and anything that needs to get approved or anything that's there, the Ys need to vote on that and have a certain majority to change anything in the nation. And there's about 860 Ys in the nation, which a pretty big number, but not huge. But when we start saying some of those, like the Twin Cities has 24 facilities like ours, camps, child care centers. There's about 10,000 Y facilities in the United States. So it's quite a large organization and about $24 billion budget per year.
Right, it's a large movement for sure. So I used to work for, as you know, Tom, I used to work for the Y in Edina for about 11 years. In fact, you and I sat on a statewide committee there for a little while, and I always heard the Southdale Y was a hidden gem, and eventually I got kind of tired about it because I don't want to be a hidden gem, and I think we're pretty well known. I think the Y has a big enough brand where we don't need to be hidden anymore, but there's still a minority of people that think that the Y is just a gym and a swim. Can you explain, how the Y provides more than just fitness, especially these days?
Yeah, that's something I hear all the time, that we're a wellness center, we're a swimming pool, and we are those things. We definitely do a good job of wellness, and we have beautiful swimming pools. But I think in the Y, we'd like to say we're so much more. And so probably number one is we're a nonprofit organization. I hear so often, and people think we're part of the city or the county or whatever that might be. And we're not that at all. We're a nonprofit charitable organization. We get membership dollars and program dollars. But we live like a nonprofit, so we raise about $120,000 a year locally from local individuals, businesses, and we give back through scholarships. We make sure anybody in the Marshall area that wants to be a member can be a member. And for a lot of people, it's about access. It's not lifting big weights, and treadmills and swimming pools aren't necessarily for everybody. Some people it's childcare when they're working long hours and they need a place for their kids to go after school. And so the Y serves in lots of different ways. A few years ago, the Y switched some branding nationally, and so now we have three, because we do so many things, it's hard to encapsulate it. And so we've changed to it's youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. And so everything we do now fits in one of those three. And youth development's easy. It's basketball. We run camps in the summertime. We run after-school programs year-round. All kinds of arts and humanities. We just do a lot of things with kids, and people generally know that. Healthy living, of course, membership and treadmills and classes, and those things fall under that. But what a lot of people don't necessarily know is personal training, community events like the Shamrock Shuffle and Gobble Wobble, and educational seminars that we do. And the social responsibility is probably the toughest one to explain, and most people don't understand. And that's that giving back, strengthening community. So in normal times, it's making sure we're available to everybody, raising those funds. It's having blood drives, being a site where people vote on election day. It's doing things for the schools and different events, and just kind of a meeting hub. Lately, we pivoted, and I think we're probably going to talk about that. But that social responsibility side has really come forward the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get to that, of course, we've been planning this as one of your board members and volunteers. We've been planning about these renovations. Of course, as you just mentioned, Tom, the Y's been in town for 17 years. There's definitely needs to be updates, and in fact, the best practice says, what is that? Every 7 years you're supposed to have.
Every 7 years we should do something.
So now we're 17 years now, and so talk about some of the facility renovations that we, as the Y, and I say we again as one of your board members, can you share some of these plans and kind of educate the community what we hope to run with here, if we can get through all this odd time that we're going through right now?
Yeah, it's been a long project already. It's nothing starts from scratch. From day one, we just say, hey, we're going to do some renovations. So really, a couple years ago, the board really and the staff made a great effort to let's find out what the needs are, and we're really looking out 10, 20 years and what our capacity is and what's the capacity we need for the populations and the programs that are coming in the future. So we did community needs assessments. We did a bunch of community forums. I did lots of interviews with small groups. So we tried to talk to all the demographics that live in Marshall to kind of understand what's going to be needed in the future. And from that time, we hired a company called Grow that really works with about 90% of every Y that's either built or renovated in the nation. And they came in and gave us all kinds of great ideas what we can do. And not so much we don't really need more square footage. We really need to better utilize the space that we have. So the whole project has been kind of under that thought of how do we use the facility, but use it in a better way that could serve more people and really meet needs. So real quickly, some of the things we're looking at, we have a couple of big rooms that people have been at the Y, a meeting room and a multi-purpose room that are really just big open rooms. And we would repurpose those with some flexible walls, so we can make 4 or 5 small spaces instead of one big space, and that really works good with small groups of kids and doing things. We would move our child watch, which is our nursery services. Right now it's in a room that's really small. A fire code is for 13 kids, and we'll get that up to about 60 kids by moving that. We would take our kitchen and make it into a teaching kitchen. So, that's one of the things that came up on those needs assessment. People really are interested in healthy eating, nutrition, recipes, from little kids to, there's just so many options with cooking for one or cooking for runners or cooking for when pregnant. And there's just so many different nutrition type things. So looking at more of a kitchen that's dedicated to teaching and education. We would do some different things in the lobby with moving the front desk to a more central location. We can add some spaces to, again, make some more rooms. One of the really unique things is racquetball was a really, really big sport for years, and it's kind of seen its heyday. Nationally, it's starting to slide a little bit. And so we would take one of the racquetball courts, and you can actually put a floor in, so it would make a 2-story racquetball court. There's a lot of space, and we would repurpose that into more wellness type activities, fitness, personal training. And then locker rooms, just 17 years old, need to be refreshed.
Right.
And there are some plans even that we could build on. If the need was there and the community grows, there's some other options. But we're looking at about, we were getting in pretty deep and looking to start raising money, and about $4 million or so. And then all this happened with COVID-19. So we're still working behind the scenes, making plans, but hopefully that'll come back around not too distant future.
Right, yes. And speaking of COVID-19, we certainly do have to talk about that. And especially how, you mentioned earlier the governor's order, and we as a board, we're wrestling with the idea, do we keep it open? Do we keep it open before and after hours and have childcare in the body of the day? But the governor made that decision for us, so
yeah.
we didn't even have a choice. So talk about what the Y is doing and doing statewide as well, besides just Marshall.
Yeah, it's we pivoted quickly, and the Y has a history of that. 175 years of helping during wartime, during other pandemics, in the 20th century. It's interesting. It's so different, but in some ways, it's in the Y's blood to move forward and help communities when these things happen. And so we had a real quick pivot, and as myself as the CEO, we have about 5,000 members of the Y, and they're not coming to our facility anymore, but we still have 5,000 members of our Y. Mm-hmm. And so we really made an effort with the staff to outreach and how can we serve our members and really the whole community and the whole region. So I've kind of got a cheat sheet here, but the biggest thing is on our website, MarshallAreaYMCA.org, that we made a hub page. That hub has all kinds of connections to things you can do at home for wellness. It's got nutrition, it's got activities for kids, it's got lots and lots of links for families where a kid could go and go to the San Diego Zoo and go to the Smithsonian and just lots of things. And we're linked up with the library and other organizations in town just to make kind of a one-stop shop where people can find things they want to do. One of the big things we're doing is childcare right away as people need to, especially essential workers need to be at work. Those kids need a place to go. And so the school system in Marshall is doing that in a big way for Avera and other healthcare employees. And then the governor asked all 38 Ys across the state of Minnesota to serve as a level 2 child care center. And so we have kids there every day, and we have staff working with them. And it's just going fabulous. And a week or two ago, we started with distance learning. Mm-hmm. So we're so gifted to have SMSU in town, so a lot of our staff are education majors that have a lot of experience teaching, and so they're working with those kids and doing childcare. We're doing workouts all the day. We're doing live instruction with our classes with Barr and Les Mills and different classes. You can go on Facebook and actually take that class live. We're going to be doing a virtual 5K, so we're going to add a 5K, but you're going to run it on your own, and it's going to be, you keep your time, and I'm not exactly sure how the technology works, but you'll be able to run the 5K with a bunch of people, but you won't physically be with those people. Mm-hmm. And, we're really down on staff. Of course, when we're not open and the pools aren't open, we went from about 110 staff or so down to about 8 or 10 of us that are there every day right now. And but we're still working, and I found out this morning we got one of the Small Business Administration loans, so we'll be able to keep serving the community and serving our members at least for the next 8 weeks with that loan, which is forgiven. So those dollars, federal dollars, will help us keep some staff on duty to keep running childcare and those kinds of programs, and that's just really huge for us. Another thing, we have staff calling all our senior members. So we have about 850 on this list. So we're calling, seeing what needs are, what they might want or need, and then we're working on lists of how we get those services. One of the things that just happened in the last day or two, and it's not even up and running yet, but I talked to VAST, and VAST is going to put in a hotspot in our parking lot. And so as we, not everybody has the privilege of having internet in their home, but they all have schoolwork and different things to do. So VAST is going to set up some hotspots on the outside of our building or in some windows, and people will be able to come and sit in their vehicle and have high-speed internet and be able to do their homework and things like that. So we keep looking for ideas and what needs are out there and just keep trying to serve them.
Well, there's so many, businesses like VAST, and they're just coming out of the woodworks to try to help and do the extra thing. You're seeing a lot of that in the community. We sure do appreciate that. So
yeah, we definitely, we need members to stay with us. That's really our income is members and programs. We really don't have much for programs right now, and so but the Y tries to turn that around and make sure that we're getting out these businesses to support us day in and out and supporting them during this time also.
Sure. Good. So really quick, last question. So your expectations when the Y is reopened, like you said, we've had a small percentage that don't want to continue their membership. We need them to keep their memberships because the Y needs to stay alive. So what are your expectations?
We know that not everybody's going to come back on day one when we reopen. It's going to be a different situation. Some for financial reasons, some just for COVID and having kind of confidence in the disease and what's going on with physical distancing. But we're going to work the next 8 weeks to be ready to be open. I know we're doing all kinds of maintenance kind of projects, little fix-it-up stuff behind the scenes right now. And really what we're hearing nationally is there's going to be a really big push. People are going to want to get out. They're going to want to get their kids in programs. They're going to want to be social because they've had this time without. And so we're really gearing up to be ready to go when we're back out and can visit the Y.
Good. Well, appreciate all you're doing and all the adjustments you're making for the community. Obviously, my neighbor is one of the families that does have their child that come to your daycare throughout the day, and I think does the distance learning there. So I know they love it. Your staff are great. Once we do get reopened, much like the Marshall community, and what I'll be talking about is the business community. We want people to come back in force to not only support the business community but the Y as well. So keep an eye out for the YMCA social media for continued updates as soon as we get through this mess. So a few other things to look forward to in April. Let's talk about that. So our coupon book is out. The best place to get our coupon book is probably the Hy-Vee right now. There are still some organizations that are selling. I just don't know how active they are. But so the best place to get them, they've actually sold out once, and we'll continue to push our coupons there. Will be at Hy-Vee. They're $30 for the first time ever in 10 years, and they have over $4,000 in deals. A few events, a couple virtual events that I wanted to touch on today, and one of them is our Let's Connect. Let's Connect is this opportunity for our members to talk about their businesses for up to a minute. And normally this is at the American. It's a great little social gathering and people get to stand and talk about their business. Well, in this case, we are going to use Zoom, just like a lot of meetings are happening right now, but we're going to give everybody on the Zoom call an opportunity to talk about their business. Is it what are they doing for businesses now? Or maybe they just want to talk normal and talk about what their businesses are doing in general, what they do for their business, and that's perfectly fine. So it's Thursday morning, April 16th from 8 to 9. Registration is required, and to get the Zoom information. We're not going to send you Zoom information unless you register. Again, Thursday morning, April 16th from 8 to 9. And I know the YMCA, Curtis has done a great job coming to that. Alyssa's been coming to that, so it's nice to have the Y presence there as well. Yeah. That evening, we've been talking about on this show for ever since we started last September, the traveling trivia. Traveling trivia is continuing, and it's going to be virtual. So it's going to be the evening of Thursday, April 16th. Teams up to 5 people can be on a team, and you'll be able to have your own device. You can use Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, or conference call your teammates. Teams need to be registered off of the Visit Marshall website by Wednesday, April 15th at 5 o'clock, and they have room for 20 teams. So you can do this from the comfort of your own living room or wherever you'd like to hang out and continue to do the virtual trivia. And we want stuff to do, right? I mean, we are cooped up. I can't stand the idea of of watching Easter celebration this upcoming Sunday from my chair instead of church. We're what people want to get out, right, Tom?
Definitely.
Oh man, I am just chomping at the bit. And the sad thing about it, I think it's going to last for a little bit longer. So,
Yeah, it sounds like the governor's going to be speaking here the next day or two. And
yeah,
make an
yeah.
announcement.
So I do want to talk about a few other things in the business community. Obviously, businesses are hurting right now. Restaurants are the ones that are you can still go to, drive through, support our restaurants. Those restaurants are listed on our website. That's no secret, and I think the Marshall community has really rallied behind a lot of these restaurants. So keep that up. Our retail boutiques downtown, up and down East College Drive, up and down Highway 23. You think about the Walnut Grove Mercantiles and the AP Designs and all these other places and the boutiques like Noble Women and Cocoa Avenue and Nettie's and so on, all along up and down 3rd Street and Main Street. They need your business still, and then they can do your business. They can do business for you. They do a lot of online stuff. They can take care of your needs as far as clothing goes. Call them, email them, go to their Facebook page, communicate with them, because they still are looking for your business. They don't. Our business owners don't get this far to have something like this crash on their business and put them out of business. So they need you to rally behind them, not just our restaurants, but also our retail and any other business that needs your business. Business can still happen. And once we do get all this lifted, I ask you guys, the Marshall community, to rally behind these businesses. Not just the YMCA, but all the businesses I just mentioned will certainly need your support. A lot of these resources, businesses, we have a ton of resources on our website. The restaurants that do have drive-up, curbside delivery. We have restaurants like Hunan Line that are doing delivery. They've never done that before. Mariachi's doing delivery. They've never done delivery before, but they're willing to make those extra steps to keep business going. We have business toolkits. We have loans. Information for businesses to take advantage of. It's all on our website. Phase 4 of this federal bill that we keep hearing about should be coming out here soon. Keep an eye on that. City updates. Mayor Burns and Dr. Meister with Avera and Police Chief Jim Marshall and Scott Munson, our superintendent, have been doing an outstanding job updating the business community. That's also on our website. Make sure you take a look at their updates 1 to 2 times a week. So. Finally, the Chamber is going to do a Spirit Week, and a few of my colleagues have been doing this throughout the state. Keep an eye out for that. We're going to have a hashtag. We want you guys to dress up on some of these days, and let's put Marshall on the map. Let's make sure we have energy behind this and dress up in whatever it is. I know there's going to be like a Marshall Day. There might be like a Hawaiian or a tourist day or a pajama day or something like that. Get behind it, because Marshall needs some fun things like that to happen. So keep an eye on this. Our website is marshallmn.org. The visit site, or the tourist site for Marshall, is visitmarshallmn.com. Be looking for updates on these 2 websites. On our social media, we're pushing a ton of social media out, including some of these updates I just talked about moving forward. So a lot going on for a community that needs a lot going on. Obviously, the whole state, the nation needs stuff to go on, and we need to rally behind this stuff. So Tom, thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for what the Y is doing in the community. Again, you guys are making huge adjustments, and I sure do appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So thanks again for tuning in to the April version of Community Connect, and thank you, Tom, for being my guest, and we'll see you again in May.